this afternoon. But just before I hand back to Marina and Twee, I just want to explain a little bit more about the Digital Learning Innovation Fund here in Vietnam. So first of all, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the British Council, about our work, and also about the Digital Innovation Fund itself and how ViVEXELT fits into that. So the British Council, we were founded in 1934 as the UK's international organisation for cultural relations and education. And we build connections, understanding and trust between people in the UK and in countries such as Vietnam, through arts and culture, through education and through English language, and particularly through projects like this and like ViVEXELT. In 2019, 2020, before the pandemic, we connected with 80 million people directly and with almost 800 million people overall through online means, and that figure has grown during the pandemic. I am the academic manager in Vietnam for English for Education Systems, and we work in three main areas. One is looking at English language teaching, ELT, in education. We also work in the area of English and empowerment, and also through digital. So English Connects is our main project. So on the right hand side there, you can see our Teaching English website, and many of you will be familiar with the website and with the Teaching English Facebook page as well. So we have, as I say, those three main areas: English or ELT in education, English Connects, and English and empowerment. But cutting across those, we also look at aspects of gender equality, of inclusion, and of use of educational technologies. So again, this project, the ViVEXELT project and the Digital Learning Innovation Fund, are an excellent example of that kind of cross-cutting work, using digital means and digital innovation to support teachers and support teacher development. In Vietnam, the British Council has operated since 1993, and since that time, so next year will be our 30th anniversary. Since that time, we've cooperated very closely with both the Ministry of Education and Training and also the National Foreign Languages Project on a wide variety of projects and programs. And the development of English language teaching has always been important to us, and we try very hard to support NFLP in their strategy in terms of the development of English language teaching, and particularly ensuring that we can support more inclusive and more quality English language teaching, learning and assessment throughout Vietnam. So in terms of British Council and EES, English for Education Systems in Vietnam, we have a very strong track record in digital innovation. From 2008 to 2011, we had a website called the Teaching English in Vietnam website, which was in collaboration with MOET, with the Ministry of Education and Training, where we offered support for teachers and through curriculum and through lesson plans for teachers on an online platform. We've also had other projects such as the Bridget project with Nokia and Pearson in 2013. And since that time, we've done a number of consultancies in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and with the National Foreign Languages Project. And that brings us right up to date to last year, 2021, now it's 2022, with our Digital Learning Innovation Fund. And I just want to say a few words about that. So the fund itself was very much a response to COVID. Obviously, COVID started to hit Vietnam in January or February of 2020, so almost 2 years ago now. And throughout 2020, the British Council created internally a digital task force and created lots of resources, such as the ones you can see on the right-hand side, which you can still find on the Teaching English website. Then in September of 2020, we made the announcement of, at a virtual ELT mission, we made the announcement of the Digital Learning Innovation Fund. And then in January of 2021, we put out an open call for people, for organizations in both the UK and Vietnam to bid for the Innovation Fund. And as a result of that call, we received 9 proposals. the project itself, or the fund itself, is designed to support Vietnam's National Foreign Languages Project, NFLP, in their overall ambition to improve teaching and learning of English, but to do this through exploring more inclusive and more accessible approaches, particularly through digital means and through educational technology. And we're also looking to support innovative and collaborative partnerships between the UK and Vietnam, which will generate new research, new insight, and new innovations. And the ViVEXELT project is a perfect example of that. There were two main themes. The first theme was to look at content and developing digital content. And the second theme was to look at building capacity and supporting teachers and teacher educators through ICT, through technology, through digital means, and particularly through teacher networks and communities of practice. You're going to hear a lot more about that in today's session. So then, having launched the fund and the project in January of 2021, from those 9 proposals, 3 projects were selected in March, and then we launched them in May of last year, May 2021. So one of the 3 projects was the Digital English Theatre project, and some of you may have joined our webinar back in December when we heard from our colleagues from International House Belfast, from the Hands Up project, and from Cunter University, explain and explore a little bit more about the work that they've done. The second of the 3 projects is the virtual mentoring and online CPD course for grade 6 teachers, which has been conducted or is being conducted by International House London, along with the Hanoi Pedagogical University number 2. And we're hoping to have a webinar from the partners there in March of this year after TET. And that brings us to the third, and definitely not the final project, which is the ViVEXELT project from Coventry University and Hanoi University of Science and Technology. And that's what we're going to hear about for the rest of today's session. So I hope that's given you a very brief overview of the British Council, our involvement in teaching and learning in Vietnam, and in particular, an introduction and an overview to the Digital Learning Innovation Fund. And with that, I hand back to Marina and Thuy, who are going to say a little bit more about ViVEXELT and their reflections on the project over the past 12 months. Thanks very much. See you later, and over to you, Marina and Thuy.
Languages, VNU, Vietnam, and also a tech-savvy and ELT trainer, Miss Ân Nguyễn from Tây Bắc University, Mr. Tuấn from Thương Mại University, and you can see also Hoàng Nguyễn, our very passionate assistant of the project that you may see his emails all the time. Marina.
Yeah, and those of you who know us probably have come across some of us already, but we have Kate Borthwick from the University of Southampton, where Tim Berners-Lee invented the internet, so very big experts on internet and communication online. And we also have our very, very amazing Jenny Wells, who you will meet later. She will report back on some results. Rachel is our website designer. So if you go to the ViVEXELT website, you will see what Rachel does and how she sets up the website. Farida, who is also here with us, you might see her. Oh, she's turned the screen off, but Farida is a part of the Coventry Refugee and Migrant Centre, but also I'm proud to say one of my students on the Masters in English Language Teaching and Applied Linguistics. So she has a dual role, and she's a mediator as well, triple role. And Tuan is both Vietnam and an alumnus from Coventry, so it's an interesting one. Okay, so now in terms of what we do, what is ViVEXELT about? It is really, at its core, we have knowledge sharing. And we want to share knowledge. We had over 200 participants, and some of these participants participated in the first cycle and became mediators and tutors in the second cycle, because we want to multiply, disseminate. And the topics were agreed with Thuy, Tom, and the other Vietnamese colleagues. And we decided to do e-learning, classroom interactional communication. And we wanted people to also most people said they want to learn how to teach speaking online. They said it was really challenging, so we addressed that. Teaching grammar communicatively online, also challenging. That's another topic we agreed on. Tips and tricks for teaching online, because we all were finding it quite challenging. We're talking about 18 months ago when we're just starting on the pandemic. And also we want to share reflective practice together. And what did we do? If you go to the website, you will see we created materials. We are going to upload more videos on how to use the tools which proved to be very popular, like Genially, Answer Garden. We also have some lesson plans which are going to be shown to you today by our amazing participants who created incredible lesson plans. So some useful materials there. And over to Tui.
Mhm. So this is a glimpse of our training section for you to know how we collaborate together for over 1 year now. And I have to say that for Vietnam, this is the first time that so many Vietnamese teachers have a chance to interact, to exchange, and to learn with ELT experts, professors, and student teachers from the UK. So I think that is really unique experience for all of us, thanks to the project. Marina.
Now it's to you still.
All right, so this is where our participants in Vietnam from. So we're very happy that we have 34 universities and schools that involved in our project. And you can see that, Marina, can you back to the slide? You can see that there are participants from the big cities to the rural areas in Vietnam, from the North, Center, and South Vietnam. So we think our project responds so well to the mission of the funding provider, British Council Davide, in the way that it's for gender equity and also inclusion. So we also want to take this opportunity to thank all our colleagues, participants, and to spread the words out there of our project so that we can include so many people, many very great participants. So thank you all very much. Marina.
And just to show you the idea of the reach we have, although some of our participants are in the UK, they're not from the UK, the majority of them. So yes, we had some UK participants, but we also had participants from all the countries you can see on the screen. And these are my students of the Masters in English Language Teaching and Applied Linguistics. I can see some of them are here today. Hello, Yutong. And I hope they found it. I mean, I don't hope that what they found this was so inspiring for them. I'm pleased to say I got 100% satisfaction for the course and the module thanks to the project, because they really found it useful and they found the exchange with the Vietnamese expert teachers really valuable. So it was really two-way learning and knowledge sharing. And this knowledge sharing happens in action while we're doing things together. And I'll give you a taster of that later. So you would be challenged to do a little puzzle on task-based learning in my session later in the workshop. And we send you to breakout rooms. And I can see the numbers are still quite healthy. So we probably have enough mediators for these numbers. And the other thing, we reflect on action immediately after. So we fill in Padlets, we do reflective practice. And for action, of course, for our future practice, what we've learned, what we take forward. And the presenters today after us will show you how they're taking forward their skills in teaching, speaking online from ViVEXELT and from knowledge sharing. So the other thing is, of course, it is a research project. So we have monitoring tools. We have analytics in the asynchronous area Moodle. We have a GISC online surveys, and we'll show you some results later about this. We used NVivo to collect information. These are all research tools we're using, and we have a lot of data to go through now to write the report for Davide. Over to Tui.
Okay, so in order to carry out the project, we have used many platforms. You can see here as open Moodles. It looks quite familiar with you, especially also universities in Vietnam. We use Zoom as the main channel of communication every week training for Microsoft Teams for our every week meetings and also store files. And we also use Padlet, online surveys, and Microsoft Forms. In addition to that, we also introduce to teachers many platforms for them to use, for example, Slido, answer gardens, and Mentimeters. And you can see in our lesson showcase today that teachers use the platform so flexibly and yet effectively. So we're so happy that they have been utilized many platforms for their teaching. Next,
Yeah.
yeah.
And over to me again, just briefly, what we're also very proud of in this project is that a lot of students and alumni, both in Vietnam and in Coventry, have come to the project to bring the insights. So Tui, myself, and the rest of the team can see our practice through the looking glass, like in Alice in Wonderland, of our students' perspective, which is fresh because we don't just get stuck in our own ways. Our students bring in new, interesting perspectives. And over to Tui for some results, which we might have to do in a hurry, Tui, because we are on 9 minutes now.
Okay. All right. So for the teaching, we asked teachers after the end of the project whether our projects help them with more teaching knowledge on online speaking, speaking online. And you can see from our both first and second circles that nearly 100% of them agree with the support of our project, which is teaching speaking online more confidently. So this is a huge success that we would like to congratulate all our organizer and all the participants of the project. Marina, next
Yes,
one.
can I just say,
Yes.
I don't want to name and shame the one student who doesn't like online, but I do have a student, I think it is my student in Coventry. So that person who is always coming up as strongly disagree is one of my students who really doesn't like online. So apologies for that, but we'd have somebody who wasn't happy. But on the whole, we have a very high satisfaction on digital competencies. And the same applies to the next slide. So we've seen the satisfaction, but this is even more satisfactory. Over to Tui.
So we also would like to ask whether teacher wished to continue our project in the future. And again, you can see like almost all of them would like for our project to take part in for the next phase. So this is something that we will try to work hard and be creative how to make our project more sustainable and for all our teachers, trainers here to carry on our projects in their communities in the future. So you can see more how the project takes the butterfly effect in the teachers, the lessons showcased after this section.
And as you can see, my student is still there saying no. But anyway, coming to some very positive feedback. As we started, when we started, we said we wanted to create a community of practice. The feedback, this is from the GIST surveys, both cycle 1 and cycle 2. What participants valued was community. We also wanted to do digital innovation, and what participants valued was innovation, new apps, new tools, as you can see here. What was also coming out of 3, which pleased all of us, this idea of the excellent environment and the breakout rooms, which Jenny will talk to you about later. These are the winners, really, how to do breakout rooms, and we'll give you a taster of that later in the session. And the other thing which was nice was feeling that we gave them support, we motivated and inspired them, and we are very friendly. So I hope that is going to come through today as well. So we have now completed our presentation. We are only 2 minutes over, which is not too bad considering what I'm like. And so now, without much further ado, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat because we will take them at the end. And I'm going to stop presenting, and we're moving on to our next presenters. Very proud to say our participants who created. Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Marina. Thanks, Tui. That's a really excellent and very comprehensive overview of the project. So hopefully, and again, as you said, if I've put a note in the chat box as well, if people have any questions, because again, we are quite constrained for time, and we have a very packed program. So please, if you have any questions for Marina and Twee about the project overall, please put them in the chat, and I'm sure Marina and Twee can answer them in real time to save us some time overall as well. That'll be really useful. So as Marina said, we're going to hand over now. We're going to hear from participants from two different groups for the next half an hour. First of all, we're going to hear from Chui Nguyen and Venti Hom Lei, who are going to talk about, in fact, both presentations are going to talk about teaching speaking online, but with different lessons and some of their experiences of lesson planning. So first of all, over to Chuyen and Van.
Thank you so much. Okay, let me share the screen, sorry. Okay, so hello everyone. Hello everyone from Vietnam, from the UK, and from all around the world. Thank you so much, the organizers, for inviting us, me and Ms. Duyên Nguyen, present our team's collaborative online speaking lesson plan. This is an amazing task that we have carried out for the ViVEXELT project from October to November 2021. And let me introduce myself and my team members. My name is Vân Thị Hồng Lê. I'm from Tây Nguyên University. I'm currently an English teacher and also a teacher trainer from Tây Nguyên University in Đắk Lắk province. And my co-presenter, Ms. Duyên Nguyen from Gymnasium School, Hanoi. You're going to meet her a little bit later. And then in our teams, we also have Ms. Quế Nguyễn, Ms. Thanh Võ, Ms. Mai Hương, and Ms. Hằng Lê from many different parts of Vietnam. And so in our presentation today, we are going to present to you the lesson plan of how we teach speaking online. The objective of the lesson is to develop students' ability to speak fluently and interactively regarding the topic of saving water, saving life, which was inspired by the Sustainable Development Goals number 6 set by the United Nations. We aim at the learners of the
Can you share the screen, because you haven't shown the screen yet? You haven't shown yet. Show the slide yet.
Haven't shown the slide?
Yeah.
No, it is
Oh,
full screen. She means full screen.
Full screen. Yeah, you should show full screen, yes.
Like this? Okay,
Yeah.
And so the learners age is from 12 to 16 and with the B1 level. By the end of this lesson, the students are expected to be able to talk about the importance of water, to be able to deliver a mini presentation about bad effects of water crisis and solution as a global and also a local problem. We also expect to increase their awareness of environmental problems and the ability to take responsibility. The final aims of the lesson is to increase their 21st century learning skills with the 4 C's: collaboration, communication, creativity, critical thinking, and also their intercultural competencies. So before we start the lesson, we also ask the students the question, what is it, the SDG? And we also explain it is the Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations, with 17 goals with the different colored codes and symbols, which is targeted to the 2030 with this poster. And so for the 1 minute activity, we have 5 minutes to help them solve, have them solve the puzzle, an e-puzzle, to find out the topic of the lesson. We send them a link so that they can play this game to start the lesson with. And Ms. Duyên Nguyen can help me to send the audience this link so that other teachers can also have a look at it for your reference later on. I can show you a little bit here. So the student visit this jigsawplanet.com, and they have 15 different puzzle pieces, and they need to work very fast to find the topic of the lesson that leads them to, that help us to lead into the topic of the lesson, which is saving water. So then we have a pre-speaking activity for 10 minutes. Before we have them watch a video, we ask them to make guesses to the following 5 questions. How many liters of water does a regular shower head use per year? How many liters of water does a person use each day? And number 3, number 4, then we have question number 5, like how much water is wasted each year from drinking process. And after they spend some 5 minutes guessing the questions, the answer to these questions, we had them watch this video. Do you hear the sound of the videos? Then we go on to speaking activity number 1 for 10 minutes. After watching the videos, the students are asked to talk with their partners in a breakout room about their answers to these questions. They compare their guesses to what they see on the videos, and then they are required to share their group's answers to a Padlet. So they write their questions after they watch the videos on the Padlet that we sent them the link with, so that they can record their responses there, and every group can display their responses there. Then we ask them to have a look at the different photos that convey meaning that are extracted from an article from the website with different photos related to the topic of the lessons. And then we also send them the link to the articles. And then we come on to the speaking activity number 2 after they watch the pictures, the photos, and also they are expected to read the articles. They are also divided to the groups again, and they are put into another breakout room to discuss the following questions. Number 1, what activities do people use water for? What are the impacts of lack of water? Why do you think Vietnam is added to the list of countries with water shortage despite having massive water resources? What do we do with wastewater? How do we save water? And is water crisis a global or local issue? All of these are addressed in the articles and also with the pictures, with the photos that they have looked at. And we send them the article link in the Padlet as well. And Ms. Kim Nguyen can also help me to send the link to the audience for your reference later on. And this is also the Padlet link where the students have guided to the activities and also record their responses to the activities. So we provide the student with different support for their discussion in the breakout room. So when we send them to join in the breakout rooms, we ask them to read the article with the links we put on the Padlet, because sometimes we understand that students do not know what to do in the breakout room. So we send them the link in the Padlet and they know what to do when they are in the breakout room. We have them discuss the guided questions. So they have guided questions to discuss with. We ask them to take notes, and they know that they will present after the discussion. So they are very active in taking notes and in discussing with their partners that have detailed responses. And each group will also have a mentor to support their English speaking during the breakout room. So the mentor here, we have the volunteers from the classes, and in our project, we have volunteers from our group members to support the students. And then this is the major activities, the speaking activity number 3, that is group presentations. That is one of our main aim of the speaking lesson. The students are expected to discuss that with the guided question and present about these 6 different questions. What activities do people use water for? What are the impacts of lack of water? Why you think Vietnam is added to the list of countries with water shortage despite having massive water resources? What do we do with wastewater? And how do we save water? Is water crisis a global or local issue? So they have been discussing with their friends in the groups. And so we have them, each group with 2 minutes, making a very fast presentation covering all of these 6 main points. And that is the by the end of the lesson, we sent them an asset ticket, which is a Lookit game within 10 minutes. The game is used with the interactive tool called Lookit, with the quiz for students to review all of the activities, all of the knowledge, all of the competency, the awareness about saving waters before they exit the class. And this is a very fun way for them to end a long lessons with a lot of ideas, with a lot of knowledge. And so we also sent them the link of the Padlet with all the activities and responses and materials and resources that we have used during the lesson for them to learn it again on their own pace at their own time when they really need it. We sent them the QR code to access the Padlet link as well. And so Ms. Jung, we can also help with sending all of these links for our participants for reference. That is the end of the 60 minutes lesson plan. But after that, because we did carry out this lesson plan with our students from many different areas in Vietnam to implement this lesson plan, and we have their interest a lot in the lesson. And so we also design some extension projects for international collaboration to continue with our lesson plan as well. And Ms. Jung Nguyen will also continue my presentation to talk about the project coordinators and how they coordinate the project as an extension to our lesson plan to further develop the communication skills for our learners. Over to you, Ms. Jung Nguyen.
We're running a bit out of time. Can we, try 2 minutes max, 3 max? Thank you.
Yes. Would you like me to continue, or would you continue with this one, Ms. Jung Nguyen?
Yes, but a bit shortened, if we can.
Okay, yes. So we also have some projects to the students also continue with our lesson plan and then with our lesson. And we have 23 students from 9 different schools in Vietnam with 4 different nations in Vietnam joining our projects. And here are some screenshots of the students who participated in our projects. The teachers have expressed a lot of positive impacts from our project, as well as the students as well. And you can see a lot of pictures that we did with this project with our students from all over Vietnam and some countries in the world as well. And this is some kind of the outcomes, the products from our students from the projects. And this is when we meet for the projects. And this is a student from an international schools in India who joined our project as well. And so we would like to continue with this one with anyone, any educators in Vietnam and in the world who would like to continue to teach online speaking, and with the goal to develop all the other communication skills and cultural competencies as well, to join us as well. Thank you so much. And that is the end of our presentations. Thank you.
Oh, I didn't mean that Chuan should not speak. She wants to say a word. She can.
Thanks, Chuan, for speeding things along there, and thanks to Vun as well for that, again, very detailed presentation. And it's great. Thanks to you both for sharing some of those resources as well in the chat. That's really, really, really useful. As Marina has said, we're already slightly behind schedule, as per usual with these kind of webinars. So yeah, please, anybody, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And again, Vun and Chuan, I'm sure will be very happy to answer any of your questions or comments in the chat while we move on to the next presentation.
I just want to add a little bit. We have a community on the Facebook group, so you can join. So we share all the resources, also the lesson for the teacher to adapt for the suitable with the country and the locals issues. So
Brilliant.
we are, yeah.
No, that's great. Thanks again. Thanks for sharing that. It's really, and again, I can see from some of the comments, some of the participants in the webinar today are really interested and want to learn more. So great, those kind of resources and that kind of sharing is fantastic. Thanks again, Chui, and thanks, Vun, as well. So again, without further ado, because we're just 5 minutes behind schedule now, which is not too bad. So I'm going to hand over to Nga. Miss Hanga, who has another project that she's going to share, another speaking project. Over to you, Nga.
Hi, so let me share the screen.
Great, thanks, Nga.
Here. So everyone, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see, Nga. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Nga, an English language teacher from Hanoi City. I'm presenting our group collaborative teaching speaking online lesson plan created during the ViVEXELT project, phase 2 in October and November 2021. Here's our group members. Miss Kim, Miss Kim Anh from Hanoi, Miss Tunga from Hanoi, Mr. Quang Ha from Yên Bai, and me, Hanga from Hanoi. And we have Miss Thom Thom is our facilitator who gave us great support during the project. We want to express our deep gratitude to Miss Thom Thom. In our plan, based on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 5, gender equality, students are encouraged to participate interactively in every task. With ViVEXELT, we practice digital pedagogical solutions for teaching speaking online. Learn more about the Sustainable Development Goals and share teaching practice across different educational sectors. The lesson is aimed to teach about 20 ninth graders at B1 level in a 60 minutes lesson. We expect to raise student awareness about the changing roles of men and women in Vietnam and in the world. Besides, we want to encourage students to participate interactively in talking about the changing roles of men and women, giving their own ideas on this topic. You can see here is the overview of our lesson plan. The plan is based on a learner-centered approach. We believe in fully engaging students in the lesson, during which they complete many different tasks. We use a variety of tools and material which have improved the lesson efficiency. Especially, we make use of chatbots and background rooms. In addition to some tools like Paris and ID boards. We set the time for each part so that the teacher can easily follow the plan to have a successful lesson. We also list the number of activities for each part to have teachers to follow them at ease. For example,
And
there
we
are
can't hear you very well. Can you raise your volume a bit? It's a bit intermittent as well. Sorry. Yeah, can you try and speak perhaps closer to the microphone?
So you mean to make it good?
It's a bit intermittent. Yeah. Try, well, let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I want the ego here.
Yeah, carry on. We'll have to see how it goes. Yes.
So you can see here, for example, the first part, we have 2 activities in 8 minutes with, we use pictures and ID boards. And free speaking, it takes about 14 minutes with 2 activities. And we also use video and pictures. And For grammar parts, take place in 8 minutes with 2 activities. These 2 pictures can help leading the topic because the picture always elicits a lot of ideas. A student can either make sentences about picture in the chat box or turn on the microphone to read their sentences. The activities next here. The activity on ideas aims to get every student to write their own knowledge about male and female roles. Here are the products from my student in the model lesson. Ideabros is a great tool to get student answer very quickly, and the teacher can see student work and give feedback at the same time. Pre-speaking parts take place in 14 minutes with 2 activities, starting with the video to have students learn some vocabulary related to the topic, as well as practice listening skill. Students are guided to give the answer in the text box by writing the numbers for men and for women. You can see here. For some of us were surprised after they listened this video because some jobs that they thought belong to men, but actually they belong to women in the video. The second activity is vocabulary teaching. Using pictures and examples to teach vocabulary is an effective way to put new words into practice. Students will learn new words from the real context. Here you can see here picture and example. Here are sentences made by my student. My student enjoyed this activity a lot because they often got good marks for each example. While speaking takes place in 30 minutes with 4 activities. Activity 1 is aimed to encourage students to give their own opinions quickly by using icons on Zoom, like a heart for agreement and smiley for disagreement. It is very fun to see students interact with each session with the icons. Yeah, we have 5 sessions. Activity 2 is to give students some useful languages, to give opinions, reason, and examples. In activity 3, work is breakout room is my student's favorite part. Students are assigned with a specific statement. After discussing with their friends, they need to write the answer on Padlet. It is very important to remind students time for this activity so that they can complete the task in time. When students come back to the main room, they will present their work with everyone. You can see here are my products from two models lesson I made. The statement were modified after the first model in order to enhance Vietnamese cultural factors in the lesson. So you can see here the statement 34 we modified after the first model lesson. A post-speaking task takes place in 6 minutes with 2 activities. The first activity is to encourage students to make some prediction about the male and female roles in the future. And the reader, is a reader, is aimed to challenge students to make them engage in the last part of the lesson. The student who can give the answers to the reader can get 5 good marks. My students are always excited about getting good marks because at the end of the month, 3 students with the highest number of good marks will get present from the teacher. And
Okay.
the last part
Yeah, nearly there because we're out of time again. So sorry, Nga, to interrupt you a bit.
Yeah, okay, that's the last part. Okay. And here's my student feedback after the model lesson on 2 questions. And many of them like pre-speaking and while speaking part. And I'm also glad that many of them enjoy the lesson and took part in the lesson actively. Yeah, that's the end of the presentation. Thank you so much.
Oh, great. Thanks so much for that. Now we had a few technical problems there, I think, with the sound and also with some people not being able to see your slides. But I think thanks for covering that, and also for bringing us back to on schedule, which is great as well. I see there's a question in the chat from my colleague Miss Nga. What changes have you observed in your students while applying new methodology and new ideas? And I think that question could go perhaps both to Chuyen and Vun, and also to Nga. So maybe in the chat box, just to save us some time, you might like to respond to Nga's question. Okay. And before we have a little break on the hour, I think we're just pretty much on schedule now. So I'm going to hand over for the final session in this hour to Angela Schuster, who's going to talk a little bit more about her reflections on ViVEXELT, and particularly, I love the title of this short presentation, Vivifying Your Online Classes. Over to you, Angela.
Thank you very much, Davide. That's really lovely. I'm very happy to be here, everyone. I'm going to try and share my screen. I don't know, my present of PowerPoint's a bit old, so let's see if I can get this going. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm a bit of a Zoom girl.
It's okay, Angela. It's coming. We can see it now. Maybe you want to put it on a slideshow. Yeah, that's fine.
Can you guys see the full screen, or is it still?
It's still on the presenter view. If you
Okay, my computer. Oh, there we go.
There you go. There you go. That's it. Great.
Excellent.
Over to you.
Thank you very much. Oh, does that go back? Okay. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm very happy to be here, so thank you very much for having me. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my personal experience on the project. And as I said before, with the Vivify Your e-classroom, that's exactly how I feel about the project. I collaborated with Ang, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. So I'm speaking on behalf of both of us. This is a blog we wrote about our experience in the first cycle of the project. So thank you very much. So my name is Angela, and I am an ESOL teacher at the Coventry Refugee and Migrant Centre. My background is actually in linguistics and languages. Spanish was my major at university, and I have been teaching for about 6 years now. So one of the things that I really value about being a teacher is the ability to, well, the opportunities that present themselves in order to make myself a better teacher. And this project has definitely been something that I've learned a lot from. So I'm very grateful to be here to talk to you about it. So firstly, so this is basically a blog that we've written. So you can actually check out the blog online if you like. Sorry?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ty.
Oh, everything okay? I can't see anybody, so everything okay? Oh.
Yeah, it's fine. We can see everything.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
fine.
okay.
Keep going.
Excellent. Okay. So, I mean, obviously, we've all, been teachers. Well, most of us have been teachers face to face, and I think when the pandemic hit, the push to go online was inevitable, and it was such a big change for everybody. And I think it was quite shocking. I remember being in Australia at the time, and it happened, and we were just freaking out. Like, we didn't know what we were going to do. We thought, how are we going to manage this online teaching? Like, what's that about? And so I think when we started the project, we were sort of, even though it had been about a year since we'd all moved online, it was still such a new thing. And I think for many of us, we weren't really able to share our experiences. And I think ViVEXELT was one of the first times we actually were able to sort of meet with other people and talk about the challenges of online teaching. And so I think one thing that we noticed was we kind of assumed that we'd be able to take our sort of face-to-face skills and activities and just use them online, and it wasn't that at all. And so it was quite an eye-opener sort of when we moved online that, okay, this is actually, there are so many similarities, but there are so many things that are going to influence how our classes operate. And so in the first week of ViVEXELT, we read an article by Morehouse, Lee and Walsh, and it was really refreshing to be able to see our experience is written, and someone has actually done some studies on what makes the classroom or the e-classroom different to teaching face-to-face. So this article is something you probably will read in the project, and it was just a really nice opportunity to reflect on these differences. And then I think one really important thing as well from this article and thinking about online versus face-to-face was that we had to really reevaluate our expectations in the classroom. And I think one of the big things is presence. And, you know, in face-to-face, you can see people. Yeah, they're right in front of you. But online, you don't always get to see people. You know, people might not want to put their cameras on, or people might not want to speak. You know, it's just such a different environment. So I think we really have to reevaluate our expectations as teachers while we're teaching online. So as mentioned before, and as we saw in some of the lovely lesson plans, the digital tools were just fantastic. And I think that's the great thing about ViVEXELT is that there are always so many new tools that people are discovering, even from the first cycle and the second cycle. Although I was a participant in the first cycle, the second cycle I was able to be an ESIC mediator as well. But it was incredible that people are constantly sharing tools, and I feel a bit overwhelmed because like it's just incredible that there are people out there developing these new things. So it's such an important part of teaching online and making things really interactive for our students, and these tools really help. So I mean, we all know about Zoom and Padlet and things, but we also learned about idea boards and also Answer Garden, which was really good, and Adobe Spark as well, which was similar to sort of a bloggy type application. But yeah, it was a really fantastic opportunity to learn about new resources. So as I think Marina mentioned earlier, was the collaboration aspect of ViVEXELT is just, I think, the most important thing, because I think face-to-face, people find it really easy to, well, some people find it easier to sort of communicate more. So this idea, moving that online, it's such a different experience. And I think the project provides its participants with this opportunity to practice their interactional, intercultural skills, and not just at the live sessions, but also post-session, where we are able to contribute to forums. So that's something that we were doing after every session. We were able to sort of comment and write how we felt and our experiences, which was really refreshing. So we also did the lesson plan as well, as the lady spoke about before, which was such a fun experience. And I know Ang talks about, I don't know if that's in my slide. Yes, okay. So we talked about our lesson plan, which was, I think we were a group of about 10 or so. But we actually worked really well together, and that's actually how I got to know Ang a little bit better, is we collaborated on the lesson plan. And it was really fun because we were able to be all on a Google document, sort of chatting and leaving each other notes and things like that. And that was quite fun. And you don't get that face-to-face, you know, it's just different. You don't see the people, but you can see them present there, typing little messages to each other. This is just something that well, Ang wrote a comment on the forum at one point, and I didn't realize this until later, but we actually were interacting with each other from probably week 1, which was really nice because now we have developed a friendship post ViVEXELT. Yeah, I talked a little bit about the collaboration, and obviously we're in all different parts of the world, mostly UK and obviously Vietnam, so obviously the time zone and differences was quite challenging, but we did find sort of a meeting point and we were able to collaborate online. I think some people, like, you know, there's one student that doesn't like online learning or doesn't like online classes, but I think there's a lot of benefits to online collaboration, and you can do it from the comfort of your home, and you can sort of add and contribute when you can. And like I said before, the Google document was quite fun, so everyone is like allocated a little animal or something like that. So that was fun to see everyone's little colors and additions and stuff like that. So a little bit about the lesson plan, I think. Oh, I'm running a bit late, sorry. So obviously the Sustainable Development Goals, so for our lesson plan we chose education, and we talked more about lifelong education, which is something really important, I think. In many places around the world, I think there's this pressure to study as soon as you can, finish your degree and then get into the workforce. But I think learning is something that happens our whole lives, and we should never stop learning. So another aspect of ViVEXELT that I think is great is an opportunity to learn again, no matter how old you are. So we had, this example of a lady who was about 90, who went to primary school and finished her primary school, which was quite inspiring. Again, the most important thing I think is a sense of a community, seeing the same people every week, sharing the breakout rooms, and being able to share experiences, and not just our experiences, but be able to sort of support each other, because it is quite challenging. We know that teaching online and sometimes talking into an echo chamber, I think, sometimes. So I think it was really special to be able to share those things with other people, and not just people that are close geographically, but people in other parts of the world. We're not alone. We're just all facing this together. So it's very important to create this sense of community. So so if anyone does get involved with the ViVEXELT project, I think it's a fantastic opportunity to practice your online interactional skills and things like that. So thank you very much for the opportunity. And if you would like to read the full blog, you have the website here. But thank you very much for having me, and all the best.
Thanks very much, Angela. That's really great, and got us back on pretty much on schedule, which is also fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you actually, Angela, would you mind putting in the link for your blog in the chat so that everybody can have a look at it? I've read your blog, and it's a really good read. So it's great to hear you and see you this afternoon, and learn a little bit more about your reflections on the program, on also as you said, the shift from face to face to online over the last 2 years as well. That's really, really useful. We've got about 7 minutes. If we're in this next 7 minutes, we plan to have a little break, a short break, but also answer some questions that you may have. So again, you've so far this afternoon, this morning, you've listened or have heard from Marina and Tweed giving an overview of the project, from Vun and Chuyen and Nga talking about some of their specific lesson plans, and then from Angela with some of her reflections from the blog and from her experiences of the ViVEXELT program. So again, if anybody has any questions, now would be a great opportunity, just maybe for the next 5 minutes, to ask those questions. If you again just put them in the chat, and we can put them to the right person. And what I was going to say was, let's start with Nga's question. Again, Nga asked, what changes have you observed in your students while applying new methodology and new ideas you've learned from the project? So can I just open the floor? Would anybody like to address that question in particular?
Okay, so the question about what changes have you observed with your student? Okay, firstly, thank you very much for the question. And I have to say there are a lot of changes in my classes, online classes, after I taking part in the project, ViVEXELT project. Firstly, about the breakout room, I have to say this is a wonderful uses of on tune for my student. Every lesson, my student always wait for the breakout room so that they can join it and work with their friends. And they like to work in pair or maybe in group of 3. And that is the first changes. And the second one is some kind of tool that I feel find very useful. That is idea boards and padlets. My students often join that to give their answer and very quickly. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for the question.
Thanks, Nga. Would anybody else like to address that question at all? Again, thinking about perhaps the behaviour of your students. Again, in responding to different. Again, it was interesting. Angela was just talking there about when the pandemic started and everyone was making the move from face to face to online teaching. I like your word. I like the word. It's a word I heard many times, Angela. Many teachers around the world felt overwhelmed. I think it's a really good word. Overwhelmed by the number of different applications and programs that are out there, which is very, very useful. But there's sometimes so many. So obviously, it has an impact both on teachers but also on students in terms of applying these methodologies. Would anybody else like to maybe pick up on that point? I see, Jonathan, you have your hand up. Are you asking a question, or you want to respond to Ngao's original question?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me and see me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, no, just wanted to give my experience of going into online teaching, particularly with regards to student attitudes. I found it's been quite interesting to see how different students respond differently. In my groups, I have various students from accounting to art and design. Traditionally, the more artistic students were less academic, but I found, given more freedom and autonomy online, those students have actually really stepped up and they're working to a higher level than I'd seen previously. But some of the more academically inclined students generally prefer the face-to-face interaction. And I think some of them have found the transition much more difficult than the more creative students.
Okay, thanks, Jonathan, for that. Okay, if there are no more questions and no more comments, let's have a very short break, just like a 3-minute break, so you can just again have a break. Put your cameras off, put your mics off, have a stand up, move around for 2 minutes and do whatever, and then come back, and we'll start right on the stroke of 5:10 with back to Marina and Twee talking a little bit more about the project and also using the breakout rooms function here in Teams. My colleague Queen has put the program in the chat again for us, just to remind us. So a little bit more practical experience, and then to finish, Jenny is going to give us some update on some of the initial findings from the research. So just a 2-minute break, and then we'll come back on the stroke of 5:10 or 11, I think, in the UK. Can't remember now. Thanks, everybody. See you in 2 minutes.
Yeah. Participants are not 300, are they?
Are we back?
No, I'm just asking you how many participants, because I'm thinking about the breakout rooms.
We have about 60, about 50. I mean, 50. I've got 55 here, but I'm not sure how many of that figure includes some of the mediators that are here. So maybe 50 in the region of 50 to 60. Okay. So you could have groups of about 5 or 6, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. So it's going to be nice if there are groups of 4 or 5. That's going to be good.
Exactly. It should be a nice figure for the discussion.
Actually, many of my colleges have meetings or classes today that they cannot attend.
Okay, thanks, Twee.
Still end of the year, so everything's getting
it's very close
easier.
to TET, isn't it? That's very true.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay, it's 5:10 or 10:10. Thank you, Farida, for correcting my time. Sorry for confusing people in the UK. 10:10, not 11. My apologies for that. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to hand back to Marina, and Twee, who are going to talk a little bit more about, give you, the participants here, a bit of a taster of ViVEXELT. So over to you, Marina.
Okay, it's more me than Twee. Twee is just a mediator in this session by me again. So what we're going to do now, we're going to have a taste of ViVEXELT. What does ViVEXELT do? How does it work? And reflect in action, on action, and hopefully for action, as we do on ViVEXELT, and learn more about task-based language learning and teaching while experiencing it. So we're going to meta-reflect, think about what we do while we're doing it, and learn how to collaborate in breakout rooms. And we'll have mediators who will help you. And in view of the numbers, it's going to be a nice, cozy experience. Small groups who can work actively together. So objectives, I hope by the end of today, you will have explored your TBLT and LL, practiced with participants, tasks which relate to task-based learning, reflected, and hopefully have collaborated online on a challenging task. First of all, can I ask everybody to write in the chat for a minute or two, if I say task-based learning, what comes to mind? What keywords come to mind? Just write away in the chat, please. Just anything which comes to mind when I say task-based language learning and teaching. Mediators are allowed to write as well. Meaningful, thank you. Real life tasks, thank you, you are. And tasks, yes, meaningful communication, cooperation, thanks, John. Learning by doing, thank you. Yeah, so we got some key concepts here, working together, collaboration, authenticity, yes. Excellent. Okay. So communicative, practice, yes. Right. I think I'm very happy with this. I'm giving you less learner-centered. Excellent. So what is a task? Normally we think of a task as an activity, primary focus, as you say, on meaning. A task has to achieve an outcome which is not necessarily linguistic. So that's the main thing which distinguishes task-based learning from previous approaches and methods. So grammar translation was all about grammar. You learn your grammar first, then you do your exercise second. Audiolingualism was all repeat after me. Now task-based says, no, we don't want to have repetition of grammar or structures. We want to have meaningful interaction, okay? And of course, the focus of form, not forms, not grammatical forms, form, not forms, important. Cognitive processes, yes, you got meaningful interactions there, which covers that. You've mentioned authenticity, and often all the skills are used. And then, of course, if you're online doing ViVEXELT, you got your intercultural addition as well. So your intercultural Byram plus. And of course, there is a mystery, an information gap. So a task, to be a task, must challenge you. There must be a little bit of a mystery. So I'm going to challenge you now, and I'm going to send you to breakout rooms. And this is a rather complicated task, which I used to do face-to-face. And some of my students were here, like John and Jenny and Farida, experienced, former students, alumni now, experienced running to a board to do this, but now we do it online. So this is reflecting about which is colder, North Pole or the South Pole. And what is going to happen, I'm going to ask you, I hope it's big enough, you have to discuss statements, which I'm going to show you in the next slide. Can you have your phones ready so you can take a picture of those statements, because I'm not 100% sure how well the chat works once you're in the breakout room. So soon I will ask you to take a picture. You might want to take a picture of the instructions as well. And there is a Google form, which I'm going, oops. There is a Google form, which your mediators will also have. But at the moment, I think I probably want to also give you the Google form link. So let me just go to it so I can put it in the chat. And just a second. So there should be. Can you check if this Google link works for you? And take it with you. So cut and paste it into another document now, if you can. So cut and paste that link for future reference. And there's also going to be another link I'd like you all to have, which is the Padlet link. So I'm going to post that in the chat as well. And if you have any questions, make sure you ask. And your mediators will be able to help you as well. Okay, so can I ask everybody to take a picture of the screen with instructions, to take a picture or to check that the two links work for you? That shouldn't take long. So can I also say, please do not cheat. So in this online task, you're not allowed to use online other tools. You cannot look for the answers online because that would spoil the whole challenge, the whole challenging nature of the task. So what you need to do, you'll be in breakout rooms with a mediator in each. The mediator will make sure you talk to each other and you discuss. One of you will be a group secretary, and that group secretary will click on the Padlet and write what they are observing, how you're doing things. That group secretary doesn't talk to the others much. They're just noticing what language skills you're practicing, how you're practicing, what's happening, okay? But then one of you is a nominated speaker who can bring back feedback for 1 minute. How did it go? How did you reach those decisions, okay? And then the mediator will help you in the breakout room to tick. While you're discussing, they will help you tick in the Google form, okay? Now, are you ready and steady now for your challenge? Now, this is the challenge. There are statements here, and without looking in your phones, please put those phones away after you've taken the picture of the statements. Take the picture of the statements and then keep it there just for the statements, no looking online. There's no land in the Antarctic, only an ice cap. The polar regions that get very little sunshine compared with other latitudes. The ice is several meters thick in the middle of the Arctic Ocean. For 6 months in the year, there is no sunshine in the Arctic. Water keeps the heat of the sun better than dry land. The Antarctic is by far the highest of the 5 continents, rising to more than 2,000 meters above sea level. These are the 6 statements you're going to discuss. Are they true or are they false? Okay? Then you come back and each group reports for 1 minute on how you decided. And the spokesperson must present the views of the groups. What was the decision? How did they come to it? What was challenging? What skills were being practiced? The scribe can come in here and we can look at the Padlets. Now, you have 20 minutes, but I would probably give you 25. So, Hugh, you can probably start sending us away in breakout rooms. The mediators have the answers. They're not allowed to share them. So they're secret, but when you come back, we'll share the answers. Any questions? Do you all have the Padlet? And, yeah, oh, is the screenshot you've shared? Yes, great, thank you very much. Okay, with much further ado, can we be sent away to breakout rooms then, please, Ewan? Can you? And I'm a bit trepidant here, I'm a bit scared because I've never done breakout rooms in Teams. I'll come out with this. I'm a Zoom person like Angela, so I hope I know how to handle the breakout room in Teams. So Ewan, can we be sent away? And resume back here in 25 minutes?
Yeah, I will now open the room breakout with 10 rooms. So please ready with your
Actually, because, can I just say, because the groups are small, can we have just 20 minutes, as I said at the beginning?
Yeah, just let me set about the time 20 minutes now.
Okay, so this was a typical example of breakout rooms. And we had a similar experience to what happens in my classes. that students who don't want to be in a group disappear. And as it happens, breakout rooms are much easier for people to disappear fast if they want to. Can I ask everybody to put yourselves on mute now, because otherwise we have echo. Thank you very much. So it'd be interesting to have some feedback if you want to put in the chat how we felt. But what I like to do now is to show you the text. And instead of going back to the breakout room, I like everybody to look at this and look at the true and false and think where you're right or where you're wrong. So if I give you 2 or 3 minutes, instead of going back to, okay, normally we would go back to the breakout rooms, but could you check your Google form? And can I just, yes, I'm going to ask for a feedback on the discussion. It's just, I want you to have a look at this very briefly, and then we do the discussion. But actually, you know what? You're right. Let's do the discussion first. Otherwise, I spoil the fun. So how many groups are prepared to report back on your experience? Who wants to go first? Group 1? Who was group 1? Farida, you? Okay. Do you want to, who is speaking for your group? Okay. Do you want to unmute yourself? Okay.
I was in group 1 with the Farida as our mediator, and Nga was going to be the speaker, Marina.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So I'm going to give you a minute, and I'm very strict, so I got my phone here. So can Nga come in as our speaker?
Oh, okay. So hi everybody. So I'm Nga from Group 1. Actually, we all enjoy the activity. So I think it's fantastic. So it's a good experience. So in our group, actually, we only have 3 participants. So we decided roles among our groups. So Davide is our secretary, and I'm a speaker. And our fantastic mediator, Farida. So what we did in our groups, that we all look at the questions and give our ideas, if it's true or false. So when sometimes we easy and we reach consensus very quickly, but sometimes we are in different opinions. So we decided to go with the majority. So if 2 agree, then we say it's true. And what I like from Farida ways of moderating is that she makes sure that everybody is having a chance to speak. So if sometimes we hesitate to speak or on camera, so we can use different functions like use thumb up or use heart to say no. We don't have thumb down function, so we use the heart to say no.
Thank you, very, very interesting. But we got other people who want to speak. Thank you. Can we clap for this for contribution? Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Group 2, Group 2 is us. Lei, do you want to briefly say what happened? Because it was a bit disconcerting for us.
Yes, thank you. So we are in group 2, and there are only 3 of us, Marina and me. Actually, we were planned to be the mediators and also one more participant. We have some challenges about first the technical issues. There only one participant, but she cannot turn on the camera, and she says that it is noisy around her place, so it is difficult for her to hear and also to speak. And so there is not much discussion. And so I think another challenge for breakout room is that the participant might not know what they are expected to do. And so Marina did have to send again the link to the chat box, and so that the participants can have a look at it again. So I think that is one of the way we as teachers online can notice about sending the information, the guidance, and the instruction carefully before sending them to the breakout room. Instead of asking them to take pictures, and they might not take it, and so they don't know what to do with it. And so
Yeah, thank you very much, Leigh. I'm being told off by David because I'm over time already. So can I just say, I'm afraid we can't take other contributions. I'm so sorry about this, but these two experiences show you how breakout rooms can work. Ours was not good. Farida's was good. So this can happen. And of course, you never know because you're different people. What happened in ours, in fact, somebody quickly disappeared extremely quickly. So they just went. So can I just say now, the next stage would have been, and I have to speed up a bit now. So you look at the statements and you check what is true and false. In normal circumstances, I would send you back to breakout rooms, but in these circumstances, we can't because we're running out of time. And Davide is on breathing on my back now, so I have to kind of go very fast. So can you see? So then the students will actually look at the meaning, revisit the true and false. I can tell some of us were right, some of us ours were not. If you look in the Padlet, some people have got some feedback which is very interesting in the Padlet, but we haven't got time to show that. However, these are the answers. And if you want to see the answers, you can also click the Google Doc with the answers, so you can reuse this activity for your own purposes. We will post it on the ViVEXELT website anyway. And so this is, you can quickly check false, true, true, true. And I know we got some wrong in our group, but you can check our Padlet and you can edit and correct. So this would have been the stage of the meaning focus. The challenge, of course, we don't know much about the Antarctic. And what you could do next, if you want to do inductive grammar, you could have asked them what they noticed about the passage because you've given them the passage. And I would have asked you what you noticed. Did you notice David, just 1 second, what grammar do you notice here? Just out of curiosity, not my students because they know. What grammar do you quickly see there that you could get the students to find? Any idea? Thank you. Comparative. Somebody got there and is not a mediator. Fantastic. She's not a mediator. Excellent. Yes. So then you check, which is colder, very little, much colder, highest, more heat than, and you get the students to work on the grammar inductively. So they get to it before you tell them. So instead of grammar translation, you get them to find it. Okay. Now, in terms of reflection, you can then think about all these and what stimulated speaking. So if you've had the time, you could have thought about this as reflective practitioners. And of course, in my breakout room, we could reflect. It didn't work because we're only 3. One person could not come on camera. One person quickly disappeared. And then it was 2 mediators mediating each other. So that definitely did not work very well. But in Farida's room, it worked. So just to finish as well, my little present to you, just what you could do as follow-up. I was going to ask you as well, and anybody who's interested in coming on board with ViVEXELT, we're hoping to continue, whether we get more funding or not. We're going to try and keep in touch with each other because it's been very, very good to be with each other. So what I like you to do, little tips for future activities. Now all the people disappeared are coming back, but anyway. Suggestion, look at the Frozen Planet by Attenborough. Attenborough is an institution, is just a giant of climate change, a giant of everything. So he has nice series and nice YouTube little videos in YouTube. And then, of course, you can ask your students to carry on climate change. They can talk about the SDG 13, climate action. They can do a project on Greta. And if they want to apply ViVEXELT, they can do Ingenially or Adobe Spark. So these are things you can think about as follow-up or as pre-tasks. It's up to you because, of course, they don't know much. If we'd had time, I would have shown you the polar bears. It's really sweet, that video with the polar bears and the mum coming out of the ice. But I can see now I'm really out of time. I'm going to leave a few minutes to Jenny for the last presentation. Sorry about going out of time. We should have done 15 minutes perhaps in the breakout rooms.
Thanks.
So
okay, thanks,
without
Marina.
much further ado, I'm going to stop presenting.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I just wanted to highlighted because I didn't want to shut you down too much, Marina, but I know we have to move over to Jenny for the final session, and she's got some interesting initial findings to share with us. But I'd just like to pick out just a couple of things in the chat. It was interesting, again, you were talking about the dynamics in the groups, and it's interesting, like the comment from Chuyen, that she had 9 members, but nobody spoke, but they all used the chat. So again, people feeling maybe more comfortable with the chat function. And also in our group, it was well, like Farida really encouraged us to use the the emojis as well. And then a different comment as well from Angela, that they had a very lovely discussion. So again, I think it's interesting just to reflect on those different dynamics in different groups, which is not that different from a face-to-face session actually, because we have different dynamics in a face-to-face session, the same as in an online session. So just a couple of comments I'd just like to pick up on from the chat there. Anyway, okay, I'm sorry to say this, but hopefully I'll say this for the final time. Without further ado, Jenny, over to you.
Jen, you'll have to speed up a bit, I'm afraid.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, am I down to 10 minutes now, or less than 10 minutes? I'm just going to try.
You can have 10 minutes, Jenny. Don't worry.
Right, I'll have to get my skates on, won't I? Right, let me just find the. Here we are. Can everyone see my slide?
Put on full screen, please, Jenny.
Yeah, just about to do that. Okay,
Thanks.
Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So yes, I'm Jenny Wells, the research assistant on ViVEXELT, and it's really interesting just following what we've just done in the breakout rooms with this presentation. There's so many relevant things there to what's coming up now. So yes, I'm going to present some initial research findings, and it's just important. It's just important to say that we had 2 phases of the project with live sessions held on Zoom. And what I'm going to try to do in this very short presentation is to report on participants' perceptions of breakout rooms, also of mediator reflections, and propose a way forward to utilise breakout rooms more in online English classes. We had phase 1 of ViVEXELT last summer in June and July, and our live sessions included between about 35 and 50 participants. We asked participants to reflect on their ViVEXELT experience, and we had 22 reflective journals submitted, which we then analysed using this fancy software called NVivo, which really just looks for trends and patterns in data. So it's really good when you've got a lot of data. And you can sort of generate a word cloud looking at the most popular words, and breakout rooms came out as a really key theme of interest here. And there were lots and lots of positive aspects that participants reflected on about using breakout rooms. Just try and summarise really quickly, but things like, working in these smaller groups was generally a positive thing. People felt safe and secure. Informal chat was important, as well as more formal tasks. And just this whole being able to interact with each other in a smaller space. But obviously difficulties as well, and some of them have just come through in what we've done with Marina, things to do with instructions, making sure people are clear what they're going to do once they're in the breakout room, because once you're in your breakout room, you're quite isolated, aren't you, from the main class. Tech issues, of course, and yeah, what we've just again talked about, the reluctant learners, perhaps initially people go into the breakout room and then they don't put their camera on, or they disappear completely, and timing issues. So the sort of what came through then was this need really for a mediator role, and it was summed up quite well with this quote here, sort of saying, I saw from the first breakout sessions that without moderation, it was impossible for participants to know how to engage and use tools as well. And so there was a need to some help really in the breakout room. You can't really just send everyone into breakout rooms and expect them to just get on. There needs to be a sort of linchpin in there. And reflections for action came through. you know, we need to sort of assign group leaders. I'm going to do this next time, assign a moderator. I'm going to look at different levels of students within the room. So things that participants were going to act on in their subsequent classes. So it was interesting for the ViVEXELT team to you know, think about all that came through from phase 1 and try to improve things for phase 2. It was clear that really teachers hadn't used breakout rooms as much as we'd thought. So we tried to recruit more mediators. We asked people who'd participated in phase 1, would they like to mediate in phase 2? We had a good response. We held some training sessions and we shared knowledge of the whole process, trying to establish some protocol really for the breakout rooms, so we could improve the structure of the sessions, more scaffolding, giving more time for everyone, and also allowing those informal conversations, people to feel at ease with each other, icebreakers. So when we went into phase 2, which was in the autumn, our live sessions were much bigger. We had between 70 and 125 participants. We had more journals submitted. And again, we looked at the word cloud. And if I just do a sort of comparison here, phase 1, phase 2, the key kind of themes were still the same. So here we've got breakout rooms, we've got ViVEXELT, course, teacher, time, and here we've got breakout, learning, teacher, room, ViVEXELT. So breakout rooms again was a key theme for phase 2. Looking at what a change, perhaps phase 2 versus phase 1, well, I've just said the key themes there. Positive aspects again, but now there was some clear acknowledgement really of this mediator role and some successes scored here. So the mediators used for these sessions were an excellent help. There was a mediator, it helped us, encouraged us to communicate. I think the mediator is an icebreaker. And this last one, you know, one of the most important experiences was using breakout rooms in all the sessions and having them led by experienced teachers as mediators. So really positive feedback about the mediators, which was great. And positive sentiments expressed as well, grateful for the support. So recognising this supportive role in the breakout room. Of course, difficulties were still expressed, particularly around the tech and the learners, you know, people disappearing, not contributing, but perhaps a little bit less prominent here. So perhaps to summarise those initial findings, that breakout rooms has come through as a key theme in the whole project, and has given lots of us material to look at and think about. There was definitely some shift in opinion between phase 1 and phase 2, which suggested we were doing things a little bit better than phase 1, that the breakout rooms were more successful and everyone was getting more out of them, because this mediator role transitioned into this positive acknowledgement of it in phase 2. And again, you know, there were clear ideas for action. You know, what I'm going to do next is appoint, you know, students in my class to be the mediators. So this recognition that you can't just push everyone into the room, you need to sort of structure it. And as well as, those are all obviously the participants, the feedback that we've looked at. But a colleague of mine, Farida Butt, who's on the session today, Farida looked at challenges encountered by the mediators. And I'm not going to go through this, I'm sure I'm running out of time, but a lot of the challenges encountered by the mediators echoed those expressed by the participants. And possibly just to highlight a couple of things was this importance of, you know, making sure everyone's comfortable in that breakout room, just try to entice everyone to be involved, to come on screen, if not to use the audio, use the chat box. So use all the tools within Zoom to encourage interaction. And also I think this you know, be empathetic, because time zones are very different, and as we know now, a lot of people in this session, you know, you're well into your evening, and you know, family life is going on in the background, so there'll be genuine reasons why people aren't on camera. So our next steps really at this point, we want to encapsulate this role of the mediator in what we're calling a user-friendly guide, informed by the feedback of the ViVEXELT participants and of the mediators. So we really produce something that can be useful to teachers in their practice. And also, apart from the breakout rooms, we want to look at further opportunities to build this community of practice. This has come through very strongly today in what Angela said, in the lesson plans earlier on. There's a certain sort of spirit, I think, with ViVEXELT. There's been so much positive language used, and this is just, I just wanted to share finally this. This has come from NVivo, and it just shows there was, you know, a lot of people mentioned ViVEXELT in their reflective journals, and with positive language, you know, we've got valuable, change my mind about, has developed my interactional, inspired me, lots of positive things here, and we want to sort of keep that live, keep it relevant, and carry on building our community of practice. So that's really all I've got to say.
Thanks very much, Jenny.
Very
Perfect.
much.
That was exactly 10 minutes. So
Oh, wow.
Perfect. Well done.
Okay, I'll stop sharing.
Amazing what you can share in that time. Really interesting initial findings. And again, I think there was a few comments and questions in the chat as well. And I think it's worth remembering that, you know, obviously the project is kind of drawing to a close, but at the end of the project period in kind of February, March time, we'll be getting kind of more detailed findings, and then again there'll be an opportunity hopefully in April or beyond to do some more dissemination of the findings in a bit more depth as well, which will be really interesting, and comparing this project with the other two projects as well. So this is just one webinar today, but hopefully the start of some more activities over the next few months to learn more about the ViVEXELT project and also some of the other the Digital Learning Innovation Fund projects as well. So thanks, it's really interesting to hear that. I said in the chat, if you don't mind hanging on for maybe 5 or 10 minutes more. We're at 6:05 now, so thanks everybody for staying on. And as Jenny recognised, here in Vietnam, it's getting into evening time as well. But have we got any final questions or comments that anyone would like to raise with Jenny, with Marina, or with or Tweet, or with any of the speakers from this afternoon? Or any final comments? Marina?
Sorry, can I just say, the people who are here, I don't know if they were ViVEXELT people or not, or beyond, but what we're trying to do, we really would like to have the input on the breakout room guide. So what we were thinking, we're going to have kind of monthly meetings from now on, whether we carry on with ViVEXELT official or unofficial, and trying to get together and think about this guide, which Farida has started, but we want to perhaps have the Vietnamese input as well. So how did it work for you? What do you want to see in that breakout room guide? And of course, what we also have to bear in mind is the human variable. So, you know, today, as it happens sometimes in other classes, some participants and students, learners really hate to work in group. And if you're in a class, they can't run away. They can't run out of the room. But in a breakout room, they can. And they do it. So these are things which, you know, we can't predict immediately. But, you know, if you're interested, could you email me? I'll put my email in the chat. Could you email me if you're interested in, even if you did not do ViVEXELT with us, but if you're interested in this topic of breakout rooms and how to make, you know, make them work. And I think we're going to continue probably with hybrid or possibly, you know, online and remote for a bit longer, at least definitely in many countries, it's still not clear even if, we're going hybrid in the UK. But, let me know if you like to come on board in these kind of monthly cafes on ViVEXELT breakout rooms to create a bottom-up informed guide that we really want to make useful for everybody.
Thanks, Marina. Can I just pick out? I'm just looking at questions in the chat. I notice, I don't know. My apologies if I'm getting your name wrong. Yuhua Chen, I think from Hong Kong, made one comment about about how to group and how students feel about being regrouped. And again, there's it's raised a few comments in the chat as well. So I don't know if anybody would like to address that, or if Chen, if you'd like to talk around that yourself and maybe get some comments or opinions from the panel.
Yeah, I forgot to mention something. Oh, by the way, I'm based in Coventry.
Oh, Coventry. Oh, sorry.
Online class, they are based in Hong Kong. I
Okay.
think I keep the same group for the Hong Kong student. I think the main reason why it worked is that because actually they have a group project, so they know they have to they have to work together. But I think it's one of the few online classes I've taught. Like I never had any moment of silence. Because sometimes when I'm teaching undergraduate class, I enter the breakout room, it's all silent, and students say microphone broke, and then the camera broken. But when they have a group project as a part of the assessment, then it kind of feel like they are quite enthusiastic, they have to get it done. So I think that's one of the few cases that when the breakout room really works well, and we have the same members every time.
Yeah, can I just add to that as well? I think that's a really interesting observation. And again, just looking in the comments, in the chat, and Dingti Lam Cha has also just said something kind of similar to what you were saying, Chen, about the differences between the breakout rooms, how students respond to them, whether they speak in their mother tongue, and also issues of technical problems as well. So there's a whole range of issues going on there. I think somebody before, Jenny was talking before about building the rapport, and that how important that is to build the rapport. Marina and Farida were talking about different modes of communication. So it doesn't mean you have to put your camera on, you have to speak, use the emojis, use the chat box, using whatever functionality is available. Again, assuming there are no technical problems. So there's a whole range of things happening there, which in a way, I guess, parallels what happens in a face-to-face setting, but just in a very different in a different domain. Twee, you were going to add something.
Yes, actually, I would like to reflect on both Marina and Yuhua's comments. First, for Marina, we'll try to organize maybe the meeting every month, right? For a short meeting every month. And from my experience of reading a lot of teacher reflections, and one thing that we very amazed is a lot of teachers feel the breakout room is so wonderful. And this is the very first time ever that they learn how to use they know that the breakout room exists and they know how to use it. So I think for me, it's quite amazed to know that. And I know from the reflection that so many teachers say they would like to carry out the essence of this project, like Jenny said. They would like to implement the project virtual exchange in their communities. So I would like to really encourage those who are here, especially who take part in our project, to inform us with your future activities that you do in your communities with your teachers, so that we eventually can document and can also support and share more in our next conference in March or April, like Davide just said. Regarding Yuhua's questions, I think one of the things I feel teachers in Vietnam struggle is it also depends on the age appropriateness. When you teach young children or young learners, it's quite difficult to manage them in a breakout room if we do not have assistants or some like mediators. So we hope maybe in the future we'll develop a project more to like how we can provide learning or teaching innovation when it comes to teaching more young learners. because we are here with like more mature and university or high school or university students. So I would like to point out that because even in our breakout room now, some of the teachers said that it's so difficult for her to apply the breakout technique or function with her primary students. So what could be other techniques or approaches embedded with technology that we can use? So something for us to keep in mind. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes.
Thanks for sharing that tweet. And I like the fact that you started talking about the next steps as well, because again, we're thinking about from our side, from your side, we're all thinking about, you know, how can we continue the great work that you've done and share this and be more sustainable in terms of the continued learning as you and Marina have outlined and everybody else has outlined this afternoon or this morning. I'm just very mindful of time and the fact that we're already about 12 minutes over. So again, I think some great comments in the chat, and yeah, great to see the questions, more and more questions coming in. I wish we had more time, but as Twee just said, this is not the end. This is just the start of the dissemination as we come towards the end of the project. So hopefully there'll be more opportunities in the coming months, particularly in kind of March, April time, as Twee said. So if there are no final comments or questions from anybody, I'm going to suggest that we bring today's really interesting webinar to a close. I just want to say, express my thanks to everybody for participating. Again, a brilliant range of speakers sharing very different experiences, which has been really illuminating. And again, I just hopefully say the start and the continuation of a conversation about what we can, the learning we can take from ViVEXELT, and also how we can continue that into the future, and lots of opportunities for all of us there to reflect on. And also, I just want to say to everyone in Vietnam, obviously it's only 2 weeks to go, so a very happy New Year, Chúc mừng năm mới to you. Obviously, it's going to be a very busy time over the next 2 weeks as we build up to Tet, to Vietnamese New Year. So I hope you get a chance to have a break, and we look forward to seeing you all in the new Lunar New Year. Again, thanks to everybody. Thanks to Marina and Twee. Thanks to Vân and Chuyen and Nga for sharing your experiences, and also to Angela and to Jenny. And I hope I haven't missed anybody out there in that roll call. Thanks for a really excellent webinar, and look forward to seeing you all in the near future in the new Lunar New Year. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. So do you want to take a picture like when everybody put the camera on before we
Yes,
start?
that's a great idea.
So
Twee, yeah.
Huyền ơi, Huyền.
Yeah, Huyền, she's already shared a couple in the chat, but I'm sure she's happy to do that. But yeah, if all the exactly as Twee says, if all the not just the main speakers, but if all the participants as well, if you feel
and
comfortable.
last time Marina asked everybody to put the heart on. I think that is very good. It's a colorful picture, very passionate with passionate people.
They don't want to put the camera on, so you sorry, they don't want to.
It's okay. Yeah.
So done. I done with the picture.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Twee. Thanks, everybody. Have a great thanks for the session today, and enjoy the rest of your weekend wherever you are. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks
a lot,
everyone, so much.
Bye
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Marina, do you want to talk to me?